Sorry about that. Staging. It's all about staging. So, Tommy, you're also known for being the sound of spaghetti westerns, I think, as we know them today.
Actually, the sound for the spaghetti western started in 1966 with Clint Eastwood's third movie of the trilogy, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Excellent.
Franco de Gemini, harmonica player in Rome, is the man who started that spaghetti western sound. Clint brought it back to this country, and of course, I made an awful lot of money. Gee, can you play...
You know that sound. Now, do you remember where you heard that in StarCraft II, Wings of Liberty? Anyone? So when Jim Raynor and Tychus Finley met each other again, their lives converged once again after many years in Joey Ray's bar. There's a piece of music that plays there, and in a few moments we'll recreate that for you. But some more history about yourself and this style of music.
Well, style of music, if you start early enough, you end up playing everything. In fact, I was kidding Russell that here I was, 1950, with the Andrews Sisters, in the 60s with the Beach Boys, and Good Vibrations, and for the first time, here's an instrument. You didn't hear this. A lot of Beach Boys and Green Acres.
Who knew harmonicas came that big?
We used that sound in Pet Sounds with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Beatles heard it, and they came back with Sgt. Pepper and bass harmonica in the tracks.
Oh, man. Tommy Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. Holy cow. What other idiomatic things are there for this style? Because you also compose, and you,
Yes.
when Star Trek went through some kind of a time change situation and ended up in the Old West.
Well, you would hear this. But as a composer, thank you. I wrote for CBS for 5 years, and I did some of the original Twilight Zone scores as well as Gunsmokes and that sort of thing. And so as we face the history of my career, you find out that you're aging when people ask how many sessions you've done. Well, I've done in excess of 7,000 sessions. I've done over 650 feature films to arrive at the now high point of my career with Blizzard. And it's brand new, and the exciting thing about it is that with the game industry exploding, to still be involved as a player and to be on the cutting edge is a wonderful experience as a player. So I thank you for bringing me along into the modern world.
Thank you, Tommy. And so with no further ado, I'd like to ask Tommy and Lawrence Juber, the maestro of the heavy metal over there, who's going to play on dobro, and recreate this scene. So please, when Jim Raynor's sitting in the bar and Tychus Finley comes in, you hear a theme that we now know as Raynor's theme. And it went down something like this. Oh, yeah. Legendary Tommy Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much. Lawrence Schubert and Tommy Morgan. Oh, man. We're going to do Q&A now until they kick us out. And if they kick us out, we'll stick around. So please, Kimberly, are you around? And you're welcome to ask stuff of Tommy as well, and Lawrence, and any of the folks up here.
Hi, guys. My question, well, first off, I'd like to say, Russell, the piece Invincible is by far one of my favorite Warcraft Blizzard pieces created. So I'd really like to thank you for that one.
Thank you so much.
Also, if you could, go into telling us a little bit about the process of creating Invincible and writing for Arthas in general.
Absolutely. So, Invincible is actually written by 4 people. Myself and Jason Hayes on the music, and Derek Duke and Neil Akery for the lyrics. And it's got a bit of history in that the theme from Arthas' coronation was written by Jason Hayes and appeared in Warcraft originally, in War 3. And Neil then took that melody and put it in the Wrath of the Lich King main title. That's the one where we had the little boy soprano singing the part. And at that point, Neil wrote lyrics for that. Then, when the Fall of the Lich King patch came around, we decided, well, we need Arthas and the Lich King need a coda. They need to bring it to an end. So I called that bit of music a chorus, if you will, and I wrote a verse to go with it, to go in front of that. And then Derek wrote the lyrics for that. And you mix it all up.
All the lyrics are really full of lore and there's a lot about Arthas' feelings for his horse. There's a lot about being imprisoned in the frozen castle, you know, and there's the lyrics throughout both of our music about, you know, whether it's from the souls that are trapped there or the feelings of those, you know, running through. There's a lot of meaning in all of that.
And I named it Invincible after reading Christy Golden's book Arthas, and decided it was a title that could leave us all wondering whether the song was about the horse or about Arthas himself. So, thank you.
Is there a translation to the song available somewhere? Talking about his horse and being trapped in the sword? And
What was the word? I can't hear you very well.
The question was, is there a translation to the song written out somewhere to kind of get that?
I know I recently supplied that to our creative dev department. I don't know if they've made that available yet, like on the web or anything like that, but it's certainly, we have it locked up and tucked away, so at some point it'll be available to everybody. Certainly, I think, I'm not sure if it's on the sheet music or not.
It's in the sheet music phonetically as the official language of the song as it's recorded. Thank you.
Hey guys, I wanted to know a little bit about your orchestration process, going from the initial piano or paper and pencil compositions to your orchestrators. And do you orchestrate your own stuff, or how do you go about your orchestrations?
I have an orchestrator named Penka Kuneva, who I've worked with since the opening cinematic of Burning Crusade. Basically, as I write, I do a certain amount of orchestration. I kind of decide what's going to be in what section. I'll work out the voicings of different instruments, and so a certain amount of that I do myself. But when it comes down to the actual making the choice as to, you know, what are we going to give to violin 1, violin 2, and kind of adding all that, you know, kind of really translating it, taking it to the next level, Penka does that for me. And you know, we've all worked with different orchestrators, but she's been the one I've worked with this whole time.
I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I orchestrate for myself and get really specific before we send it to be scored out, and then other times we, you know, if things are laid out in a more easier fashion to understand, to make my idea then I just let the orchestrator do it.
A couple of my handwritten sketches are on display in the art gallery, which is mind-blowing. But anyway, it's you can see I've tried to be fairly complete in specifying I want the brass to do this or the strings to do that. The orchestrator, though, keeps me honest because he'll just call me up and say, you know, oboe doesn't go that high, pal. Okay. Are you going to piss someone off? So keeps us in line.
I was curious about your creative process when you're tasked to compose for a certain zone or mood. Do you first think about motives or harmonies or instrumentation first, or what's kind of the order of your creative process?
In my case, I don't know if I have exact words for it, but I think I immerse myself in that through looking at the art, running through the zone if I can find it. Cheat to the zone. I think there's any number of ways to go about it, but I think really soaking it in first before you even come up with an idea. Sometimes the idea will be melodic. Sometimes for me it'll just be a mood that I want to set, and I write something that to me evokes that mood. But I think, like I said, putting yourself really in it first and trying to understand what it's all about. I guess maybe that's motivation, but to me it's more than just that. It's just exposing yourself to it completely and then letting it gel naturally.